You know her. You work with her. You live beside her. Maybe you are her. You're out there looking. You're searching today. You know, the prophet Isaiah wrote many thousands of years ago, the people walking in darkness have seen a great light. There's a lot of people just like that woman in this video that are walking in darkness, searching for something real, searching for something true. They don't know what it looks like, but they're longing for it. You know, John 1 says this, John 1:1, I believe, that says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In Him was life, and the life was the light of men, and that light shines in the darkness, but the darkness did not comprehend it. See, light shines in the darkness. I don't know if you've ever been in a place that's been so dark that it just seems to surround you. You can't see your hand in front of your face, but you can just feel the darkness closing in. I remember one time when I was in college, I was going to a little church, and it was out in the middle of the country. So it was out there. And so there was out there in the middle of the country, and one night we had a special meeting. We had a speaker there preaching, and it was after daylight savings time, so it was when the sun goes down early, and the preacher's up there speaking, and all of a sudden the power goes out. And you're out in the middle of the country where there's no street lights, there's nothing. So it was dark in that church. And it was just like, you couldn't see anything. And then all of a sudden, out from the corner, somebody lit a match or lit a lighter to go find a candle. And that little light, in all that darkness, that little light pierced the darkness and shone. And you could see where that light was, and around it, it started to shine. And so light can pierce darkness, but darkness can't overcome the light. And Jesus came into this world to be light in dark places. So Jesus shines His light. Today we're going to learn about shining that light, the light of Jesus. So we're going to learn some things about light. First thing we learn about light is light shines. Light shines. Matthew 5:14 and 15 says this, "You are the light of the world. Like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden, no one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house." I don't know if you remember this little song when you were a child. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Jesus says, you are the light of the world. Derek, you're the light of the world. Gladys, you're the light of the world. Miss Dottie, you're the light. John, you're the light of the world. You are the light of the world. You're the light of the world. Jesus came to be the light of the world, and then He says, you are the light of the world. Remember last week we were talking about how if we're going to grow and be healthy as a church, we have to go. And that word go and make disciples, that word go is in its original language means as you are going. As you are going, you're going to encounter that woman. As you are going, you know that woman. As you go, and you are to be light. You are the light of the world. The second thing that light does is it reflects. Light reflects. And there's a reason I picked this picture. What is that up in the upper left corner there? What's that a picture of? The moon? The moon. Now, does the moon have the characteristics and the energy in it to produce light? No. The moon reflects. It's made of materials that reflects light. And when God created the heavens and the earth, He has the sun and He has the moon to light the evening. When it's full, it really gives off a lot of light. But it is not the source of the light, but it reflects the light. See, in that same way, we can say Jesus in your blanks, Jesus is the light, and we are to reflect His light. Now, when we believe in Him and we trust in Him, He puts His light in us, but we are not the source of the light. But He is the light. And so we are to reflect His light. And the second thing, or the third thing that light does, is it ignites. Out by the word ignites, write the word passion. When I'm talking about igniting, I'm talking about your passion. Your passion is the spark that draws others to Jesus. You know, we're passionate about a lot of things. We can sit on Sunday afternoon. This is the big season. We got October. We've got the baseball playoffs. We're getting into the World Series. We've got football every Sunday. We're passionate about our teams every Saturday. College football. We'll stand and we'll shout and we'll yell, and we're passionate about football. We'll sit and talk about football. We'll sit and talk about NASCAR. We'll sit and talk about this and this and this. What about Jesus? Are you passionate about Christ? Is He real in your life? Light ignites. So when you're shining that light, when you are the light of the world, you're to ignite a passion in others, those around you. You got to ignite that passion that woman is looking for. She's got to see it in your life. She's got to see it's real, not just something you talk about, not just something you do. Well, when it comes to that, what's the source of joy in your life? Oh, my family. I love my kids. I love, the source of joy. I've got a great husband. He's got a good job. Or that's the source of... No. What is the source of your joy? Where do you find that joy? When they look at your life and they see your light shining, you got to be able not to just show it, but you got to speak it. So when we talk about Jesus is the light. It's that spark that he gives you, your passion for Him, for spending time with Him, that draws others to Jesus. Just like it talked about that city on a hill. I remember we used to travel. My dad was a Yankee. He was an Iowa Midwest farm boy. My mom was a Louisiana girl. So every summer we'd make the trip down to Louisiana to go see my grandmother. And I remember sometimes we'd take off a little bit late, and we'd be on a long trip. And it's dark going through the mountains of the Ozarks, and it's dark. And I just remember in that darkness how enclosed that was. But then all of a sudden we'd come around that last little mountain, and we'd look, and there's a little town called Conway, Arkansas. And you'd see the glow, and I'm thinking, all right, a hotel, a bed. I'm so ready to get out of this car. And that was hope. There was hope in there. So when you are that city on a hill, you are shining that light. You give somebody hope that there's something real and meaningful out there. So we're to be light. You are the light of the world. Jesus says something else in the same passage in Matthew chapter 5. We just back up a verse at the beginning of that. And He says that you are the salt of the earth. But what good is salt if it's lost its flavor? Can you make it useful again? It'll be thrown out and trampled underfoot as worthless. So you are the light of the world, and you're also salt. So let's think about salt just a minute. What kind of things does salt do? In biblical times, salt had great value. They used to pay Roman soldiers their wages in salt. If they did a good job, you'd get paid some type of food, and salt was one of the ways that you would get paid. So that's where you got the phrase, "He's not worth his salt." Right. He's not worth his salt. And that's where we got that. I always wonder where these expressions come from. He's not worth his salt. It comes from that used to be a way that they would pay. But salt has many other qualities. See, salt seasons. It seasons. Out by the word seasons, I want you to write the word influence. And we'll come back to that. Salt seasons. Well-seasoned food influences your taste buds. And it says, that's good food. It tastes good. I know when we're cooking chili in the house and you smell all those seasonings cooking in that pot and your nose picks up that smell, the mouth starts to water, and it influences. Those seasonings influence your mouth. And it starts to water. So salt seasons. Salt also heals. I remember growing up, you cut your foot, you soak it in salt water. You have a sore throat, you gargle with. I remember when I was a older teen, I was living in South Florida. I'd start getting a sinus infection or a cold. I'd go swim in the ocean Get that salt water in there. Clean everything up. See, salt cleans up infections. If I'd get a skinned knee or something like that, go in the ocean. Let that salt water clean it up. Salt has healing qualities. Salt also makes you thirsty. It's thirst. Write the word thirst. You know, if you eat a good smoked ham, good country ham, or some bacon, you're thirsty. You got to have that big glass of tea or some coffee or orange juice to drink with that bacon or that ham. You see, we Christians are to be salt in the world. We're to season it. We're to bring healing to those who are hurting. Like that woman demonstrated, you know, when she's hurting, she wants somebody to bring her healing. And we're to make it thirsty for the real joy that only comes in a relationship with Jesus. If we don't do these things, then basically we become ineffective, and we're good for nothing but to be thrown underfoot. In his prayer for his disciples, Jesus prayed that we would be in the world, but not of the world. Okay, we're to be in the world, not of the world. Jesus was not meaning that we're supposed to separate ourselves from the world. He says, be in the world. We are to be influencers. Not influenced by the world, but we're to go in and influence the world. But unfortunately, what has happened is as we go into the world to be the light, the tendency is we get more influenced by the world than we influence the world. But we are to be different. We're to shine His light in that dark place. We're to shine His light and influence these people. We're to show them who God really is. If we lose our saltiness many times, you know, you think about that verse when it says, if it loses its saltiness. How can salt lose its flavor? Well, many times we as a Christian or the church has lost its flavor in the world. We've lost our influence in the world because of things that have happened within the church or even the way we may act out in the world. If they say, you know, people, they say that right now we're living in unspiritual times, that people just aren't hungry for the things of God. No, people are searching for something real. And they don't want to just see it. You know, we've grown up in this. We're in this era they call the postmodern or post-church. There used to be a time if you were going through a tragedy that people would normally would automatically go to a church to find some type of comfort in there. But not anymore. People are looking for something real because what they've seen over the years is and you've probably heard it when you talk to people about going to church or about your relationship. And when you say the word church, they say, well, I used to go to church, but I stopped going because of all the hypocrites. You've heard that word, hypocrites. Well, you know, we do that. We say we believe this, but we live another way. And that will destroy our witness or destroy our influence in the world because we're not influencing the world, we're letting the world influence us. Now, most of the time, this is a flimsy excuse, but, you know, we lose that because we don't live what we believe. Today, more than ever, people are looking for something authentic. They want to see it real in your life. You can't just say words. You have to live it out in front of them. You need to give them a reason for the joy that's in your heart. You know, if you're a Christian, you're just always suffering and you're just always down. What do they want? What are they thirsty for? How is that making them thirsty for God? How's it going? Oh, just, you know, I'm just barely making it. But, you know, even if you're going through a difficult time, if you have Jesus in you, if you have the light in you, then that light will shine out. Even if you're going through tough times, people will say, man, I know you're going through a difficult time. How can you have that joy? How can you have hope? Because I know my Savior is with me, and I know He's going to see me through this. He doesn't necessarily take the bad things away, but He's with you when you go through those difficult times. And if you show that you have peace, that speaks to people who are searching. That peace, it's real in your life, and they say, I want that. I want that. So when I go through these dark times, I know somebody who I can go to who can lift me up, and who will be real with me and who will talk to me.